To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. Good evening, everybody. It is another fun-filled Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. This is Jason Braden, your host of Main Gate Magic, and my co-hosts are in the room as well. Everybody say hello to Thomas. Hey, Thomas, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Loving the background. It's super awesome. For those who are just listening, it is a very beautiful picture of the Disneyland castle in the background. That will be Sleeping Beauty's castle. Very good background choice for the night. And hello, Leia. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm finally over the rain, I think that's in our area. It's still pretty cold, not as cold as it was, like I think about a week and a half ago or so, but things are starting to look more like, well, I know it's not spring yet, but we're getting there. For those of you who have joined, and we'll get to some comments and greetings in just a moment here, but you might notice that we are shy one person in the room. At least one very special person, Kaitlyn Robrock, is running a little bit late. She will still be on the show, but she had an appointment that ran a little bit long, and she says that she will join as soon as she gets home. So let's all just wish her safe travels, and we will see her very shortly. So in the meantime, we've got some time to kill. So I figured we go ahead and get started off with maybe just a little bit of news. Thomas, do you have your stuff all lined up as far as the construction news is concerned?
Yeah, I do. So,
wait, no. Hold on.
Not
We
yet.
can't do news without the. Oh wait, wrong one. There we go.
The Main Gate Magic News.
Alrighty, fire away.
You bet. So as you all know, or some of you know, 2 new rides are being added to Avengers Campus. Construction for that happens, supposed to happen February 24th. So that might affect parts of Avengers Campus and Hollywoodland. So just be aware. And then the Lunar New Year's Festival just ended to make room for Food and Wine Festival. The dates for Food and Wine would be February 28th to April 21st. So just a couple of updates from behind the scenes.
Yeah, the Food and Wine Festival, pretty awesome. I've done it before, and I think that was the very first. Wow, I've been drinking wine apparently. Yeah. That's the very first one that I think I actually bought the tickets for, where you had the little tabs you could tear off of your lanyard ticket and just kind of go to the booths. And man, I think I ate my weight in snacks that day. It was pretty crazy. But
do they have like wines from across
delicious.
the world, like different countries types of wine, or what is it?
Yeah, I think it's just a variety of different things. I don't know if it's from around the world necessarily, but they might have occasionally like some fusion foods and some stuff that pairs well with wine, I'm assuming, because it's the Food and Wine Festival. Thomas, do you ever partake in that?
I do. I usually just get at least one or two snacks before it ends.
Okay.
But I might actually get a lanyard this time. We'll see.
Yeah. Have they announced the prices at all for the tickets this year?
They have not, but I believe it's like around 54, 57, something like that. For like the lanyard and yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad considering they give you a bunch of tickets. And I mean, I know the lanyard is just the card now, and you said at least I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing as what they did for the Lunar New Year, where it's all digital now and you have to order ahead. Do you think that will be the same thing? Thomas. Uh-oh.
Oh no, did he?
He's frozen. He let it go. Finally let it go.
My cat Lucy is wondering what kind of wine you guys like. Do you like white wine, Chardonnay?
I like the kind of wine that tastes like beer.
No way!
Yeah, I'm a beer drinker. I'm not a wine drinker. I
I
tried.
see what you're saying.
Yeah, I tried, but I just and I actually did go through a wine phase at one point and did tasting and everything like that. But
Just wasn't your thing.
wine, whether it's dark or like red or white, it dries out my mouth no matter what, unless it's like a really cheap fruity flavored wine.
Yes.
That's the only kind I really like. So.
Yeah, I like the more fruity ones, or kind of the more white one. We're opposites. I have tried to like beer for over a decade, and I gave up. I'm like, nope. I can take a sip and appreciate it, but that's it.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, it's over.
Thomas, are you a teetotaler? Do you drink adult beverages?
I do on occasion. I usually get really giggly when I do. So, yeah.
Well, that settles it. We gotta have a drink night for our show.
We do.
And just
we'll
just
turn
talk
into
about
Pinocchio and Lampwick when they're playing pool.
Oh my God! Yo, you know what we could do is we could actually do like a drinking game for one of our shows one night, and just every time somebody says Walt or something like that, you have to take a shot.
That would be great. Let's do it.
That would be so much fun.
That would probably be a very, very funny show.
We would need to bring Lisa on board.
For sure. We'll get our usual concoctions and everything. Maybe just not a shot, but just a sip of our usual concoctions. So.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's go to the audience. We have a few people watching tonight, at least until Kaitlyn shows up. We've got our usual number one fan. Hello, Patricia. Good to see you here tonight. We've got Mr. C. Andrew Nelson, the Dark Lord himself. He says, greetings from the dark side. Malik, I believe, is the name of this person that's in here. Says, hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I hope I got that right. And if you want to spell it the way that I should say it, I'd be happy to correct myself, because I don't like butchering people's names or even thinking that I butcher their names. My father is in the chat. Mr. Odie Braden says, hello, Mouseketeers. Hey there, hi there, ho there, Dad. You're as welcome as can be. And if you're old enough, you know what that is. So I don't know. Do they still have the Mickey Mouse Club?
That's a good question. I do not know.
Let's look that up really quick, because I definitely used to watch that when I was a kid. But I think, you know what? Now I think it's the Mickey Mouse Club House, but it's not the same. I don't know if they have. You know what? I think that they do still have Mouseketeers, because when I went to a Bakersfield show maybe about a year ago, Andrew, if you're in the chat and you're hearing this, maybe you can back me up. There was a year where we went down there, and the special guests were, I think, all of the Mouseketeers that are either on or at least used to be on the Mickey Mouse Club. So if any of you are quicker at Googling stuff than I am, let me know if it's still a show. My dad says free wine. I don't know where it's free, but okay. And I got Malik's name correct. So they said that you said my name properly. Thank you. Yes, and welcome to the show. Like, I think I said that already, but I always like to see new names on there.
Malik.
My dad says I can still sing the theme song for Spin and Marty Triple R Ranch. Wow. I think I've heard of that before, but I don't quite know. I'm guessing it's part of what was on the Mickey Mouse Club. I can only sing what the original theme song was, and I can hear it in my head and everything, but it's been years. But anyway, I digress. So Andrew and I did a little bit of hanging out this weekend. Andrew in the chat, that is, and we went to a convention out in Stockton. It was called Stockton Con. It's their winter show, and for those of you who aren't aware, they have vendors there just like any other convention. Sells comic books, Disney stuff. It's kind of pretty much anything that they want. Sometimes it's like individual artists that sell their own things. There are artists that sell paintings, then sculptures and 3D prints, and then there are of course, is the vendors, are the artists that are voice actors, real live action actors, and it's just a kind of like a Stockton's version of a Comic-Con. And it was a lot of fun. And if you guys who are watching saw one of my posts, I think I did it about maybe 2 days ago. I got some people interested in the show, and I have to tell you guys, one of the ones that I met, I'm fairly excited about, because he will be, at least for now, or until I get him scheduled on the show, that is, or pick a date, the very first Emmy winner I will have had on this show. And his name is Maurice LaMarche. If anybody is familiar with his name, he has done quite a few voices over the scope of his acting career. And the ones that he is mostly known for is, or the one I should say he's mostly known for, is the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. But he also has done the voice for Mr. Big from Zootopia, the little mouse that's like the godfather, So, yeah.
Who's dad?
Yeah, I did not know that's the voice that he did. It happened to come up in conversation when we were talking to him, and my eyes lit up, and my head exploded, and I said, when I pulled myself back together, I asked him, would he mind being on the show? And he's like, yeah, sure, here's my phone number. Give me a call, text me, let me know when you want to do it. I'm like, that's amazing. So very, very excited. Oh, and not just an Emmy winner, but a two-time Emmy winner and a third-time nominee. So he got nominated 3 times, won twice.
Wow.
And I believe that, I know, right? The work that he actually got the Emmys for was for his voices in Futurama, and then, of course, I think as the Brain from Steven Spielberg's Pinky and the Brain. So, and yes, Andrew is chiming in here saying, if I can get this comment up. Oh, there we go. Maurice is super nice, very personable, and incredibly talented. Yeah, and he's a clown. He is such a clown. And I think, like tonight's show, once Kaitlyn actually gets on the show, it's just going to be a lot of fun, a lot of goofing around, a lot of just pure, unadulterated family type humor that everybody's just going to love. He's a super kind soul. And yeah, Andrew says, not to mention, incredibly funny. Absolutely. Yep.
The Brain is one of the most iconic voices. Like, you hear it and you just immediately know, if you know the show, it's like, oh my God, that's the Brain.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that Rob Paulson, who does the voice of Pinky, was also supposed to be there, but unfortunately, he said that he had to cancel because he wasn't feeling well. I guess he was getting sick. And in his place, they asked Phil Lamar to step in for him. And Phil does the voice of one of the characters on Futurama. Now, I'm having a hard time remembering, but he's like the Jamaican dude that's on the crew. So he's been doing his voice since the beginning, and as far as I know, still does voices for that show.
Oh, that's cool.
But one of the most incredible things that I thought he was, that is one of my favorites that he was on, was something from a lot longer ago. He was in the movie Pulp Fiction. Have you guys ever seen it before?
Oh yeah, I just watched it a week and a half ago.
Yes.
Love that show.
Andrew says Hermes, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, he was one of the guys in the apartment when they were going to look for the suitcase, I think for Marcellus Wallace, if I remember correctly. But he meets his demise in the car later on when the gun goes off by accident.
He's the guy.
I think he's the guy. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and that's why they had to call the cleaner to clean them all up. That's why.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, so it's I think one of at least I feel like one of his most iconic roles, at least in my book. But of course, and I'd love to talk to him about that as well, but I think we'll talk more about his Disney stuff when we're on the show. I mean, if it happens to mention Pulp Fiction along the way, we can bring that up too.
Good.
But he has done stuff for The Incredibles 2. I know that for a fact, and a few other Disney things. And I know he's also done voices for animated stuff. I think he was the Green Lantern for DC stuff. So not necessarily within the realm of Disney, but he's got a huge list of accolades under his belt. So really, really cool guy and a lot of fun, super nice too. All right, let's see. We got a few other comments here. We got Malik. Maurice LaMarche also has been voicing Mortimer Mouse over the years. Yeah, I think I did actually see that. And I feel like there have been other people that have voiced Mortimer Mouse. I want to say even Jim Meskimen, who we already had on the show. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2
I
weeks
think
ago.
I think he did the voice of Mortimer Mouse at one point as well. And I know that that's
Yeah.
what Disney does. They kind of recycle the people who do the voices. I don't know what the decision-making process is behind that, but I know it's a real thing. Patricia says, got to meet Maurice and Rob Paulson in Knoxville. They're both so awesome. Yeah, I saw at one of the shows that I went to, Rob was there at I think it was the Santa Clara Toy Expo. Andrew and I went to that one as well, and the entire cast of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle voice actors was there.
Wow.
So
that's
all four
amazing.
turtles, which Rob Paulson was also, of course,
Right,
a
yes.
voice for one of the turtles.
Mhm.
They were all there, and we got to meet them all. It was really cool.
I love Rob
Did you guys
Paulson.
ever watch that?
I
Did you guys
did.
ever watch Ninja Turtles?
That's one I
did.
didn't have the pleasure of growing up with, but yeah, I saw the movies as I got older, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely am into Ninja Turtles, and I love Rob Paulson.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got Phil also did voices for the Clone Wars. Oh, we got Star Wars reference according to Andrew. That's awesome.
Nice.
And yeah, Patricia's backing up what Andrew said. He voices Hermes in Futurama. Definitely one of the main characters on there.
Mhm.
So, bless you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Thanks for clarifying that it was Hermes in Futurama, not Hermes in Hercules, because I know
Yeah,
there's
no.
two.
Hercules will save us.
I
Although
haven't actually seen Futurama, so it's good to know Futurama.
Oh, okay. I used to watch it pretty regularly for a while, but I think, like The Simpsons, I just sort of got a little bit tired of it after a while.
Mhm.
That's just me. I don't know if it's just my humor just dried up from it, or if it was another
I never
reason
saw
that I just
Futurama.
fell off of it.
Mhm.
It's a funny show. It's definitely a funny. It's a space delivery company, and it's all the crew that takes all these packages everywhere, and they get in all these misadventures and stuff like that. I think that's sort of like the bastardized description of it, but in essence, what the show is about.
Yeah.
I pulled up on a website while we were waiting a ultimate Minnie Mouse quiz, and maybe we can kind of go over that before Kaitlyn pops on. So I think we're going to do a little bit of trivia while we are waiting for Kaitlyn to come in about her most popular voice, which is Minnie Mouse. She's done many others as well, and she can talk about that at length when she gets on. But some of these are kind of easy, at least I think, and some of them are a little hard, but they give you multiple choice options, and I didn't have time to type them up and put them in the banners, so I apologize for that. But the very first question, and we may have covered this in our show last week very briefly, at least as far as her age is concerned, but the first question is, what year did Minnie Mouse first appear?
Oh.
And there are 4 different years to choose from. There's 1978, 2019, 1950, or 1928. And I think that's kind of an obvious one, but at least for me.
Yeah.
And we'll give everybody in the chat a moment to answer. We've got about 9 people watching right now. That's pretty cool. I'm hoping people are excited
cool.
to see Kaitlyn come on in. And if there's anybody that's actually in the chat that actually hasn't said hello yet, or wants to ask a question for when Kaitlyn gets here, please do so. We loved comments. We love comments. We love seeing people chat in there. It's a lot of fun. It makes the show more
So fun.
interesting.
Jason,
Yeah.
what are the choices
Mhm.
again? The 4 choices for the years?
1978, 2019, 1950, and 1928. Now, Andrew already provided the right
Okay.
answer. It's in the chat if you guys are watching on YouTube. So for those who did not know, it is 1928. So Minnie Mouse is, I think, turning 97 years old this year. So
Wow.
she looks pretty darn good for an old mouse.
Yeah.
She's been around for a while. All right. Now, the next question is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I know that they call this the ultimate one just to get people's attention and to get them to click, on their site versus other people. But what is the pattern on Minnie's dress, if anybody can do that? And they gave you multiple choices on here, but there is one that she is mostly known for as far as the pattern is concerned. And that's what we're looking for. So I'm not going to tell you the multiple choice. Y'all have to guess this one because I think it's pretty darn easy.
Pretty
Yeah.
easy, yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
Show of hands on the show. You guys, actually, Thomas is kind of frozen right now, but yeah, you guys both know it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Patricia got this one right. It is definitely polka dots. Now,
Yeah.
and typically it's the red dress with the white polka dots, and it is definitely Minnie's look. It is her signature look. All right. Now, the next question, not everybody might know this, but actually, I take it back. The ones that are listening right now and watching, and maybe even Leia and Thomas will be able to get this as well. Who was the original voice of Minnie Mouse? You don't know, Leia?
No
Shaking your
idea.
head? No?
Nope.
Thomas, you got an idea? Are you frozen or are you thinking?
I have a guess, like it would be kind of ironic if it was that. So, but I probably am not correct.
Well, I'm going to actually let you guess this one because I know somebody in the chat's going to type it in pretty quickly here. So what do you think it is?
I don't know. The voices are kind of similar. Is it the voice of Snow White?
That's
No.
what I was going to guess.
No.
but
Okay.
yeah, no,
Okay. They both have that squeaky, high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Nope. But you've got kind of the right idea as far as guessing who did the voice because of a similarity with other voices.
Okay. Okay.
So that's kind of like a clue, and I'm surprised nobody else has actually put this in the chat. That's interesting. And the reason I'm not actually giving the multiple choices on here because the choices they gave were pretty ridiculous. So Malik actually got the answer right. Walt Disney is the answer. That is correct.
What?
Walt Disney was the original voice for Minnie Mouse. Yeah. I don't
No
know for
way.
how long. But I did know that he was the original voice. Yeah, that's not. Now, a lot of these I can't claim that I actually knew before, but that particular one I definitely knew the answer to that. Now, the other options that they gave was Marilyn Monroe, Emma Watson, or Nicole Kidman. So I'm like,
What?
oh, come
my
on.
gosh.
Whatever. This is.
Yeah. I know, right? It's
Now,
pretty silly.
Walt Disney, he was the voice for
Yes.
Mickey, right? And he also drew Mickey. That was his start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his boy. It all started with a mouse. That's the mouse that started it all. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Who is Minnie's boyfriend? I can't. I
Donald
chose the
Duck.
wrong. I
Yeah,
chose
Donald Duck.
Actually, that is one of the answers in the multiple choice. They put Donald Duck, Goofy, Mickey Mouse, and the other one is Bugs Bunny.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'm going to spare the unfortunate website. I'm not going to say what site this is, but if you're out there, shame on you guys for trying to trick us with silly answers like this.
Yeah.
Andrew says, I thought it was a comedian.
Oh my god.
Andrew says, I thought it was comedian Carrot Top.
What, Andrew?
That is an inside joke, folks. If you're wondering what the hell that answer was all about, that is an inside joke with
I think Jerry
us
will like
and-
that comment.
Yes, he would definitely like it if he was watching the show tonight. So, Carrot Top comes up in our conversations quite a bit. He's just sort of like our backfill answer to most things. Who should we choose for this? We'll choose Carrot Top. And we've even said, like one of these days we're gonna run into him, and he's gonna actually be on one of our meetings or something like that because we meet everybody else at these shows. So it's just I think it's just gonna happen someday.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, speaking it into the universe, right? I truly believe that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one. So, what is Minnie's full name? Now, I will give about a minute or two before I start throwing out the multiple choices because this might be known to some. And again, it's because the
To
other
some, yeah.
answers are kind of silly. So, do either of you know what her full name is?
No.
I do
Okay.
not.
All right. Hey, woohoo! Andrew says it is your destiny. About Carrot Top, yeah. I'm sure about Carrot Top.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to ask the question again. What is Minnie's full name? Anybody in the chat? And time is up. I'm going to give the multiple choice answers now. The choices are... Oh, Dad got it. Odie got it. Yep, it is Minerva.
No
It
way.
is Minerva
Yeah.
Mouse, yes.
I-
And it's Minnie for
I
short.
Way
did-
to go,
I
Odie.
did. Good job.
All right, let's see. True or false? Minnie has two nieces called Millie and Melody. This one I actually don't know the answer to. But we got a 50-50 chance, right?
That almost seems familiar, but I don't know. Like from the cartoons or
Yeah, I think it's. Are we allowed to say our answers? I don't know. I think it's.
I mean, I'm looking it up right now. I mean, if you think, do you know the answer?
I would guess true.
I would guess true. Yeah, I think Mickey and Minnie have 2 each, and then Donald and Daisy have 3 each, but I don't know for sure.
All right, yeah. Donald definitely has 3 nephews,
Mhm.
but apparently, and this is true, the answer is true. Oh, wait, can I phone a friend? Andrew says.
Cash
But
cab.
Malik got it right. Yeah, Malik got it right. It is true. She does
Oh.
actually have 2 nieces named Millie and Melody. So I don't think I ever realized that. I'm sure they were in some
neither.
cartoon that I never watched before, but it makes sense that Disney would give them more than one family member. But and I think Mickey might have some nephews as well, I think.
That does
We gotta
sound
look that
familiar. A
up.
lot of them do, just those cute little side characters.
Mickey Mouse nephews. This is yes, okay, so there are 2 nephews, just like Minnie. Minnie has 2 nieces, Mickey has
Yeah.
2 nephews. Let's go
Mhm.
ahead and make this a question. What are Mickey's nephews' names? There are 2 of them. If anybody can guess that one.
Do they both start
And,
with the same letter? Like Millie and
yeah.
Melody?
They
They do?
do. Of course they do. Yeah.
Is it
By
M?
the way,
Oh.
Yeah, it starts with
Okay.
M. By the way, Kaitlyn is home and she is starting up her computer. So get your brains ready,
Okay.
folks. Get your questions ready. Get your comments ready. She will be on very, very shortly. Let's see. No answers just yet. All right. Any guesses?
Mark. I don't know.
Mark? That sounds like a Disney name, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Hi, I'm Mark. Like, no. All right. So let's see. I'm going to check one more time in the chat. Yeah, Dad, you got it right. Odie says Morty was one. That is
Morty.
correct. So
Oh,
one of the
okay.
nephews was Morty. I think that's just it might be short for Mortimer. Possibly. I mean, it's awfully familiar, right? I mean, it's very similar anyway. And the other one is Ferdy. I thought I had to look at it twice because I thought it might be Freddy, but it's Ferdy. Ferdy. So, yeah. I think I actually knew. Oh, yeah, I know. Very interesting. Hold on one second here. I'm going to text Kaitlyn back really quick. All right, cool. All right, while she's getting her computer warmed up, let's see if we can't shoot out 1 or 2 more trivia questions. What did Minnie receive on January 26th, 2018? There are 4 choices. An Oscar, a Guinness World Record, her own movie, or a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You know this one.
You do?
I think I do.
I got to look it up because if you don't, this one's like one of those, if you don't, you have to answer all the questions or choose your answers. And then at the very end, they actually give you the answers. So, Mouse, January 22nd, 2018. Okay, I got the answer. So, aha. Look who we have in the audience tonight. Now we got
Hello.
Kaitlyn. How you doing?
Hi, I made it.
You made it.
Traffic is cruel and unusual.
You braved the Hollywood freeway and made it to Main Gate Magic. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I
Hey,
appreciate it. It's good to
Caitlin.
see
Nice
you
to meet
again.
you.
Hello, Leah.
Yeah, so we've got Kaitlyn,
my
we've
home?
got Leia. Yeah, very,
It's
very beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
I feel
bought
like I've
that,
seen it before.
yesterday.
Is that a
And
grand
then here's
piano
my
in the background?
chaise lounge.
You've got some kind of weird aura going on around you as well.
Oh, that's just God's blessing.
Oh, wonderful. Kaitlyn, this is my other co-host here, Mr. Thomas.
Thomas.
Say hello, Thomas.
I'm sorry. No technical difficulties, so sorry.
It's really
Same
okay.
here.
Not a problem. We do what we can.
Happened.
Let's see. So anyway, we were kind of just doing some Minnie Mouse trivia while we were waiting for you. And for those who wanted to guess, let's see. Patricia actually said star. Yeah, that is correct. Minnie received her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on January 22nd, 2018. Did you know that, Kaitlyn?
I remember seeing that.
I did, yes.
Yeah?
I do remember that.
Was that what you thought it was, Leah?
Yes. Yep. I remember
Awesome.
seeing that. Yeah.
All right, Andrew's answer was she got a jury summons on that date. So we have a few people in the audience that we're happy to see you here. We got Malik says, "Hi, Kaitlyn. It is an honor to see you here. You have done a great job taking over as Minnie Mouse."
Hey, thank you, Malik.
Absolutely. And let's see. Patricia says, "Hi, Kaitlyn." Patricia's one of our #1 fans. She is, I think she's attended pretty much every show that we've done so far.
Oh, nice.
Except maybe one. Yeah. So she's always here, and she's a friend of ours as well.
Oh, good.
So. Sarah's on. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you tonight. Hey,
Sarah.
everyone. She says, "Good to see you." Wonderful. So, Kaitlyn, thank you so much for still popping on, even though you were stuck in traffic and everything. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you still doing that. Most people would just be like, I can't make it, but I'm glad that you tapped in at the last part of the show, or the last half of the show. But we're gonna go the full hour if you're still okay with this.
I
That way
am.
we
Let's
can kind
do
of
it.
ask some more
We're
questions.
not going to
Awesome.
let freeway traffic keep me down.
Right, that's right. And
Gonna
Andrew
cut
says
down
it's
in
good
the
to see
car.
you again.
Really
Andrew
good.
says it's good to see you again, Kaitlyn.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Alrighty. So, I sent you a list of questions. I don't know if you actually got to go through them or not, but we're just going to kind of just...
through them, but I've completely
Perfect.
forgotten.
Well, there's going to be a quiz, so, I'm just kidding. So, let's just start off with you in general. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What you doing now? Like, I mean, you are obviously in California, because I said we were braving the Hollywood freeway. I'm not going to get super specific, obviously, but where do you hail from?
I currently live in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't moved up to Burbank just yet. That's on the back burner. But I was born and raised in San Diego,
Oh,
and
nice.
then moved to Irvine for college. And then after I graduated UC Irvine, I moved to Anaheim to work at Disneyland. And I'm still down here because it's fine down here. The things are picking up enough where I'll be moving up closer to LA within the next few years. But for now, I'm
that's
still
great.
having fun hanging down here.
Now, I'm guessing you're going to be doing that to get closer to where you do your recordings and things like that?
Yes, I record mostly in studios up in Los Angeles. And then for some projects, or if it's like 30 minutes or less of work, I record here in my home booth. Because to drive all the way up there for 30 minutes of work, I think we can do it from home.
Yeah.
I wish I had one of those. I wish I had a booth that I could record. Wait.
Well, when we got this apartment, walk-in closets were like the, what do you call them? Like the make or break, the deal breaker.
The clothes were the sound. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so my clothes are certainly in here to help buffer sound, but I've also got the egg crate foam. You can get a super cheap amount on Amazon, and I spray glued onto corkboard and put the foam on that, and then use painter's tape to just hold it up on the walls. And it's been here for a handful of years now.
Well, it sounds great. And I thought it was ironic that you actually showed us. I mean, I actually saw a little bit of the fabric. It was a polka dotted piece of material, just like Minnie Mouse.
Pants.
I love that. Very
They're
fitting.
right up against me, my Tiana Spirit jersey.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I'm just going to move those. See. There we go. Much better.
All right, cool.
Now I'll just have them like a pillow.
tell me what it's like for you to do a recording. Like when you go in there, are you ever
Awful.
nervous? I know it's probably horrible. I mean,
Um,
torturous. But tell me what you feel when you go in there. Is it like a magical thing? Is it just more like, it's just work?
It depends what we're doing.
Yeah.
Commercials, I always psych myself out because I've booked like 2, and the whole time, like I was taken on with my agent to do commercials while I worked on animation, and to this day I've booked maybe 2 commercials, and then
okay, well,
Wow.
20
2 is
some
more than I've ever done.
animated shows. So I'm not complaining. With
No.
Minnie, it's always easy peasy. Just I know where she is. I know what she's gonna do or say, depending on what our projects are. Is it a toy? Is it theme park? Is it the TV show? Is it the shorts? Is it, your mileage can vary on what she's doing, but that's where I live. Video games, I do get a little nervous on just because I'm not a huge video game actress just yet. But I don't really do a lot of the really intense, shouting, visceral games. Or if I do, it's kind of a one-off or additional voices. That way it's nothing too huge for an extended period of time, just because it'll just thrash my voice. But if I came in for a day to do like, we'll do 4 hours of zombie growls, and like, perfect, let's do it on a Friday from like 2 to 6. So
you have
that
the weekend to
awesome.
recover.
is
Yeah.
easy to finagle.
Right.
But because I live in such the Disney world, it's really fun to branch out, like to DreamWorks or to Nickelodeon or to Universal or Warner Brothers, just like to go play in those other sandboxes, because each of those studios has such a wealth of opportunity in their animated shows too. I get to really play that way.
That's awesome.
really wanna
Kaitlyn,
live
how
in
did
that
you
big
figure
land.
out that you could do the voice of Minnie? Like, were you playing around with the voice, or like, when did you figure out that you could?
That I've told this story before. It kind of I was working at the park, and it was I want to say like 20 years ago this year. It's all kind of muddled back then, but at the time we had the Christmas parade at Disneyland where hold on.
Hello.
Sorry, someone's knocking.
That's okay. It's a live show, folks. Stuff like this
Right? Yeah.
happens.
That makes it exciting.
Someone's knocking at the closet door.
Who can it be knocking at my door?
Dun, 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 dun. Hey, Andrew, men at work.
Yeah, who can it be?
Another inside joke. We're always talking about men at work whenever
Sorry
we're driving
about that,
places.
everybody.
No
It's
worries.
okay.
I
No
thought he
problem.
was dying. He just
Oh.
wanted to know if I wanted to watch SNL. And I
Oh,
said,
okay.
after I record, and his face went, yeah, I really want one of those like on air
Oh, yeah.
recording signs.
Oh, yes.
Flip the
Door.
switch.
Anyway, where was I?
The Disney parade 20 years ago.
Yeah.
At the time, it was the Christmas parade where Mickey and Minnie were ice skating on what is now like the Frozen float. It's now the Frozen float. Before it, I want to say it was the fairies. And then before that, it was Mickey and Minnie ice skating. And when it would come in at the end of Main Street, right through those gates, our rest area was right there by those gates. And I hosted that area a lot at nighttime. And so we knew that parade like the back of our hand, because when the parade is coming in, that's when we're enjoying some lunch. So we knew all the cues, we knew all the audio, and it was coming in, and Mickey said his line, and I knew Minnie was going to speak next. And we had heard it so often, I was just coming out with my lunch. And I said, Mickey, watch me twirl, because she does a little spin on the ice. And my coworker was like, oh, you sounded just like her. That was creepy. And I was like, did I? I never really thought about that before. Like it didn't exactly occur to me. I certainly loved Minnie and would like goof around, but I never really paid attention of like, well, is it like a match or not? Is it something that I'm capable of doing, until someone responded to it? And then after that, I just kind of started paying attention to anything I could find with Rusi, which was slim because I didn't have cable for years, just because when I moved out from college, like cable's expensive. So I didn't have that. And then YouTube wasn't out yet, but eventually after a few years, there would be things I'm able to watch or look at just to study or rent from the library. And when we had shows at the park, like Minnie's Fly Girls way back when, I would request to work that show. That way I could just kind of practice under my breath while the show was happening.
Wow.
Oh,
So it was
neat.
just like play and repeat, play and repeat, play and repeat.
So was it a right place, right time? Did somebody discover you doing the voice and they said, hey, we want to talk to you? Or did you have to audition for something like that?
Audition. It was a full, regular, average audition that went out to the voiceover agents. Because Russi Taylor, my predecessor, her passing was very sudden. And
That's what I heard.
after we had all kind of heard, there were a couple weeks to take time to grieve and to make peace with it. And then they sent out the audition to all the agencies, and they gave us about a week to work on it. And so every day after work at Disneyland, I would have my friend come over and my roommate, and they would just sit in the living room, and we would go over the audition lines itself to like match the 10 they gave us to match direct, 15 lines with no matching reference, and like, okay, how would she say it? Let's listen to how I speak these lines. And then we had to sing a song. But I went to the studio, like an hour rental studio to record to do that. I wasn't worried about that. And then after we would do the lines, we would just play something. Like, I think we had, was it out yet? Disney Plus wasn't out yet, but we had YouTube on the TV, so we would just pop up like the Three Musketeers movie from like 2003.
Okay.
Like that was the most thing I worked with, because I at least had a physical copy of that, and play YouTube on the TV and like look for any type of clip or listen to songs. We were just kind of spitballing and going through whatever we could find.
Wow.
Awesome. And congratulations for getting that too. I mean, that couldn't have been like an easy choice for people to make, but
I have
clearly
no clue.
made the right one.
We were all secluded from each other. Like, I didn't know who
yeah?
else was reading. I didn't know who made it to the first callback. I didn't know who made it to the second callback. I think I know 2 or 3 names from the first one, but I'd never heard their version of it. And I've never heard anyone else's version. So, and I know it's moot, but there's always that little voice inside, like, well, how close did it get? What if you like rolled off a cliff the day of the second callback? What would the other option have been? Like, you can't think that way, but I also can't help it. So
I'll bet you there's a lot of other people that are asking that to themselves. Like, how close was it?
Say like, hey, if you could send my things to Disney, I can help out whenever you're sick or out of the country.
Right.
And I would say, like, you're very sweet for offering, but if I'm sick or out of the country, they'll just wait.
Yeah, that's cool. The one and only, right?
Yeah, we did have during some downtime when Russi was going through her treatment, a young lady named Elise Willis stepped in to help out for some projects, and she had worked with Russi extensively. She's part of the music writing team for the Paul Rudish Mickey Mouse shorts, so she worked with Russi extensively. Her sincerity and her genuineness in her performance of Minnie was so lovely. So she gave 110%, and they used her for a few projects in that interim. And and then when I came on board officially, then I took over.
And that was in 2019, correct?
Yeah, it was September of 2019.
Yeah.
And then my first project that had my credit on it was on Disneyland's birthday in 2020. So I think it was the 65th. On its 65th birthday, the first episode of Mixed Up Adventures that credited me dropped. So I woke up to just like a slam ton of Twitter and Instagram notifications, and I was like, what happened?
So
what
cool.
happened? I don't know what's going on. We're all on lockdown. Nothing.
But you didn't even know, huh? Yeah.
I didn't know.
That's crazy. I do have some questions from our audience. Malik wants to know. He says, I do want to ask Kaitlyn, I know that you have not recorded with them, but what has it been like to get to meet and interact with Tress MacNeille and Tony Anselmo?
Yeah, we record on our own. I wish we could record ensemble. It's so much fun. And there was a project that Brett and I both recorded on, which we could bounce off each other, or we can bounce off each other for doing like a Comic-Con panel or the D23 panels. But meeting Tress was a huge like bucket list item of mine, because I've been listening to her since I was a child. And to me, Tress MacNeille and Maurice LaMarche are like the greatest voice actors alive today. Just their range is impeccable. Their comedy is outstanding. They've got just such a wealth of work behind them, and they're huge inspirations. So meeting Tress was absolutely lovely to kind of get to know this lady who's been so integral to my development, but I have to play it cool because she's real cool. And then Tony, I met Tony a few years ago. He's a private person, so I don't see him too often, but he was very nice to me and very enjoyed talking about like the history and the heritage of Disney, and because he was an animator for Disney too, so he had a hand in animating a lot of those projects back in the day, and Brett does that too. Brett is an artist as well, so it's really cool for him to draw the character he voices, and I can draw a stick figure.
I was just gonna ask, can you draw Minnie Mouse?
I can draw like the outline, on her bow,
the 3 circles in the bow, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I draw the bow first and then 3 circles. I'm like, all right, that's it. Like, you know, what you see on an earring.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Well, and I remember we were doing, I was doing an event where I had to I signed 500 autograph cards as gifts for the attendees of this event. And so I have a very specific way to do it. So it took me a few hours because it's like, I can't just put my name. I also have to put like my name and then like, and her friend Minnie Mouse. I wanted to do that too. And then the card itself had the font for Minnie Mouse on it in red, I think, instead of pink, but it didn't have a dot over the I. So I couldn't not dot all the I's with bows.
Oh, I love that.
Not do
500
it.
of them?
500, all completely terrible bows.
Oh my gosh.
But
original.
I couldn't stand it. Like, I have to dot the I.
I should have brought it into the booth, but is that how you sign your autographs today? When you put Minnie Mouse, do you do the bow for the I?
No, that was just on those cards because the printed name Minnie Mouse on the card did not have the bow. For Minnie's name, it's just like how Minnie herself draws it in your autograph book at Disneyland. So I learned it to pay homage to the real deal.
I love
beautiful.
That. Yeah.
Pure magic. I love hearing that. It's funny that you mentioned Maurice LaMarche earlier because we actually, Andrew and I both met him this weekend up in Stockton.
Did you?
Yeah, and we had a chance to chat with him. He is a crack up, and we were talking about him before you came on the show today. And he actually agreed to be a guest on the show here as well. So you'll be able to see him on a future episode. Yeah, and I'm super excited about that. We got a couple more questions.
You're gonna have a lot of fun with him.
Oh, I know. We had a lot of fun just talking to him at the show. So it was just an amazing man to meet. Andrew wants to know, what was your very first professional voiceover gig?
Oh gosh. Technically there's 2. The very, very, very first gig I did was for Bill Rogers, who's the voice of Disneyland. I believe his daughter had a project she was working on to help persons who have drunk driving, like, a lesson that they would go through as part of their rehabilitation. So I narrated, I had to make sure I was very unbiased, very straightforward, like, I'm not yelling at you, I'm not supporting you, but these are the facts of drunk driving. So that was my very, very, very first gig through him. And then the second one, which was kind of like an established thing, was I did extra voices on the Drawn Together movie. There was an old show on Comedy Central called Drawn Together, like back at the 2003, 2004, 2005. Like it was in the early to mid 2000s, and Jess Harnell was on it. Tara Strong was on it. Oh gosh. Who else was on it?
Tara.
Jack Plotnick was on it. Cree Summer was on. Like, it had so many wonderful, wonderful actors. And so I watched the whole series, and I met Jess through Rob Paulson. Like, I got to know them like through Comic-Con conventions. I'd talk to them after the big voiceover panels they'd have and ask for their advice. Or then if I would see them again, I'd tell them, oh yeah, I took your advice and I did this. What would be the kind of the next step? So they helped guide me along a lot back then. And we went to the panel to go see Jess and support him on this new direct-to-DVD film they were doing, kind of like that closer to the show. And they had a contest, and I was one of the people, thanks to his nepotism, I was one of the people who got to be in the contest to be drawn into the movie, and you can do a line or two. And something like that, I had my SAG card and something. Did I have my SAG card? No, I didn't, because like I was hoping maybe I could get Taft-Hartley into the union that way. It ended up not happening, but I got my SAG card through background work. But I won the contest. They drew all the participants in the movie, and then I got to do a couple voice lines in the movie. And it was uncredited,
So
but I
fun.
had a lot of fun. And that was the very first gig I had. And then the creators of that show, they would bring me in to read for other projects they had. And it usually went to the celebrity who's also reading for that same role. But somebody involved heard me and sent me to the Mr. Pickles team across the way for Adult Swim back in 2012, I want to say. So, I booked that show, and we came out at the same time as Rick and Morty, and Rick and Morty just steamrolled right over us. But we were like the second highest rated after that.
I think I saw Maurice's name in the credits for some Rick and Morty episodes.
Oh, he's been in it quite a few times. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's a great show.
I
Because
love it
a lot
too.
of the actors are the writers and creators, like favorite voices from their childhood or from the 90s and 80s. And like, why wouldn't you want to bring in your favorite people? But
Yeah.
Maurice is good on it. It's always
They can
nice
make
to
it happen.
Tress has been on it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one of my goals too, is to get on Rick and Morty. It's just a tricky
I'd
little.
love to hear you on that. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you
so
would do
wacky.
great.
That or South Park. Like I grew up on those shows too. Don't tell my
Oh.
parents. You know, you stick a towel under the door so they couldn't see the TV light because I'm 14 and I'm supposed to go to sleep. But South
Yeah.
Park is-
Well, yeah, and South Park is a little bit raunchy in certain cases. So yeah, I'm not sure parents would be certain parents wouldn't be allowing their kids to watch it, but it was a guilty pleasure for me too. I stopped watching it after a while. Do you ever still watch the episodes?
Oh, I
at
do.
all?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Well, because these
You're a
days,
cartoon
man,
watcher.
they're made with no restrictions whatsoever. They're just going to do what they want to
No.
do, and that type of unhindrance and not worrying about the audience lets them be at their best. If you like it, great. If you don't, oh well. But when you cater too much to the audience, it just kind of loses the spark that made you want to do it in the first place.
I agree. I have that
Speaking of
affinity
losing.
for like Family Guy. It's like this, that they're effortlessly themselves, and
Yeah, I still watch that too.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And like if you want to be on a show like that, it would behoove you to watch the show and learn like, well, what's the patter of their speech? What's their how realistic are they? How wacky are they? You know, things like that contribute when you would get an audition for it.
Yeah. Kaitlyn, I had a question for you, kind of with
Are you guys-
auditioning and stuff.
Really quick, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
Time
okay.
out really quick. Were you, Kaitlyn? I was getting some. Okay.
What? You froze.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Oh,
I think we're
Jason, you
losing some
froze.
signals here. Can anybody hear me?
Yep.
We
Yep.
can hear you, but it's kind of pausing every so often.
Okay, I think Leia said yep, but now she disappeared and came back. And Kaitlyn,
Still here.
Oh, Jason, it might be your connection. I
think it's you, Jason.
this is very odd.
I think it's a you problem.
Okay, there. I think it might have come back. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
back, Jason.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, all of a sudden there was like a little Wi-Fi logo happening in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. I've never seen that before, and I am on wireless, but my router's
yeah.
on the other side of the wall, so.
Yeah.
And, geez, there it goes again. All right, guys. Go ahead and ask Kaitlyn some questions. I'm going to go ahead and hop out of this and come back in. Maybe that'll fix the issue. I'll be right back. Please continue.
Okay.
Yeah, Kaitlyn, I was going to ask you, have you
Mhm.
gotten to a point with Minnie Mouse where when you read an episode, you can just effortlessly know how she'd speak and like you almost don't need direction from the directors of the show? Or
Yes. My three main directors, Kelly Ward, who is in charge of us for Minnie's Bow Tunes, Mickey Mouse Funhouse, Mixed Up Adventures, the upcoming Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So he's the Disney dude for all of those television projects.
Okay.
And then Ben Hoppy and Renee Thompson are in charge of us for Disney character voice projects like theme parks, the cruise line, toys, private events, specialty events. So between those three, those are the mini overseers. So it's pretty straightforward. I can pretty much tell what direction she's going to go. It's my only real challenge is how early are we recording, and can I get my voice woken up early
Oh, I
enough?
know what you mean.
So,
Yeah.
let's do the singing at the end of the session, and we'll have hot tea and lemon ready to go. Lots of water.
Absolutely.
What would you?
It's easy to drop in, depending on the style and genre that Minnie needs to be. And then when I give performances, the most common thing actors do is like they'll take each line, each paragraph on its own and give you 3 different reads for it, and they can play you in the actor before you, or they like the director can kind of read along with you. Usually when you're on ensemble recording, they'll do like a whole scene together so you can bounce off each other, and you'll do that a couple times. For this though, like we'll do 3 different reads of a line. So I give 3 different reads every time. I don't do the same read 3 times. I'll do one like, well, this is most likely what it is. This one will have emphasis on these words, or my third take will be like, well, she may not be as peppy. She might be more concerned on this read. So we just kind of like read the script and kind of feel, okay, what's the general emotion we want to have it come across? And sometimes we don't hit it right away. Do another round of 3 if I'm circling the drain, but not too often. We're pretty solid.
That's awesome. So then do you just send it to the editor and they get to choose the take that they liked?
So we record, when I record from home, I record basically my copy's a backup, and they can record through their engineers in Burbank. And then when I go into the studio, there's an engineer there as well. So they take care of all of that. All I have to focus on is just talking into the mic. And then they'll pick which take they want, whatever Kelly or Ben wants to use. They'll edit it as needed. That's all their magic.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love hearing about the recording ends.
It's pretty fun, and they are wizards. They can work magic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry for the outage there. I think I was just having like a little bit of a hiccup with my internet. You can hear me all now, though, right?
Yeah, you look perfect, Jason.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
What would your advice be? Like I'm actually a current cast member who's trying to get into like acting and voice acting. What would your advice be for like if you could talk to yourself back then? What advice would you give yourself?
I think I would. Gosh, if I could turn back time. It's hard to say. Like it's been so long since I started. Like I always said, like I wouldn't change too much. I might have tried to start my career earlier than when I did, but at the same time, I don't know if I could have, because a lot of it was based on like, how much money do I have? How much time do I have to spend? So I made a lot of sacrifices to pursue the career, because until I could get an agent, my best shot to like getting to know the community, getting to know casting directors and shows was to go to like workshops and clinics. And back then, Hope Levy had the Voice Actors Network and Mary Lynn Wisner had Meet the VO Pros. Those were like the only 2 places I knew of to go to. And both wonderful, wonderful women. And so I would go to their classes as often as I could with the most savvy directors and teachers that could help me along. And whenever I could afford it, like I would work 5 days at Disney, 8 to 4, drive up to Burbank so I can hopefully get there by 6:30. That way I can have some dinner somewhere, and then do a class from 7 to 10, and then drive back home and go to work the next day. So I got to meet a lot of people that way, just to kind of show them like whatever raw talent I had or wherever I was in my progress. And then I got very lucky with the Mr. Pickles opportunity. And then I met a young lady named Lee who knew Bill Farmer, who's the voice of Goofy. And he was starting up a demo production company. So I was his first demo.
No way. That's amazing.
That's
so we worked on the demo together. I had the show ready to go. We were just waiting for the first season to start recording. So he walked me into his agent at AVO, and I did an audition. They brought me on for the commercials, and I just kept practicing the animation, kept going to classes. I would record myself. Like I'd leave my phone out in the open room with the other students and record it. That way it would catch my recording, and it would catch the vocal director's direction or opinion of it. And then if I needed to do a second take, or if I was learning how to adapt, I'd record that as well. every so often they'd say, I have no notes. That was perfect. And like, that's worth it to me because it means I'm on the right track with this character, with this way of interpreting. And then I would edit the files to be like, a minute long, no longer, because agents don't have time all day to listen to extraneous stuff. But I would edit it and I'd say, hey, I took two little old ladies, completely different styles, to my class last night with, I'm blanking her name. I can't believe it because this happened. But I would take I've played like 2 or 3 lines from each character, and I would play the director's response to it. And I said, hey, he or she sounds really confident in my work on this. I'd like to start auditioning for these characters when they come in. So if I wasn't reading for them before, I would take those archetypes to a class to work on them. And then when I kind of had an approval from a active casting director, I would send it back to my agent and say, they seem to really like this opportunity for this genre. Could I read for it? Because I believe you work for your agent just as much as your agent works for you. You have to give them something to sell, or no one's going to buy, and then they won't make money, and they won't make money off of you.
That's true. That sounds like it makes sense. Anyway, I've never had an agent, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, there's always stuff to learn.
We got Patricia asking, what's your favorite type of project?
Any type of like wacky style animation where I can do a ridiculous voice. Those are always free. Nickelodeon's very well versed in that. So I've done I did something for the Loud House. I did something for Baby Shark. I did something for Blaze and the Monster Machines, and they were all just really silly, wacky voices. And just I like living in that area.
Can you do a voice for us, Kaitlyn, from one of them, like just on a whim?
Like, what's your craziest one? What's your wackiest one that you like to do?
Lady Fluffpot. I enjoyed her very much.
Ooh, what do you mean you don't have the jewelry for me? How am I supposed to look fabulous if you're not paying me anything? I don't think I'd like to go out with you after all.
So just like, what does she do? And my favorite voice of all is,
just a little old lady. She's based off of Beeb and the Derrick. Because she's the original Witch Hazel, and the Granny from Looney Tunes. She was the first one. She did those first, and then June Fred took over, but she was there.
And she did the Mother Bear and Prissy. Yes. Like, all kinds of stuff. So I
all right, I gotta give you a round of applause for that. That was great.
Yes.
Take a bow.
I can hear how you did the toothless sound with your teeth, the like whistly. That was really good.
You set your jaw in the front.
Oh.
Yeah, just because that way it's easier to take your teeth out.
Right.
Oh, your dentures. Oh, I'll have to play around with that.
Yeah, keep your tongue in the back there.
But you're gonna have to play around with taking your teeth out, Leia. Is that what you just basically said?
I'm gonna practice that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you should try that. Go get a hammer after the show and give it a shot.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Let's see. Malik says, are there any hints that you drop, or any hints that you can drop, I guess, about the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse 2.0 show? Now, obviously,
it's coming out this year. I don't know specifically when. Okay. And I don't think there is anything I could say other than like there's a lot more fun singing, more fun songs coming along. So because the original Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they had a lot of songs, but there's like way more songs, I think, this time around, which is a lot of fun to do. And some of them are very, very catchy. So I hope they're as catchy as Hot Dog.
I don't think I've ever heard Hot Dog, but every time I hear Mickey and Minnie singing in my head, I will get on that. The one that pops into my head, which I don't think that you were the one that sang this, was the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the picnic song. Nothing Can Stop Us Now. So,
yes, that's Rusi and Chris.
Right, yeah. And I heard that she recorded that.
We both know the song, but we didn't sing it.
Nothing can stop us now. I'll tell you how. Yeah, I love that. It's great. All right, so do you consider yourself a Disney fan? And the reason I'm asking this, I don't really know much about as far as what your likes, dislikes are and stuff like that, but I've actually had other people on the show before that do voices for Disney for a living, and they're like, I'm not really a Disney fan, but are you?
Oh, yeah. We born and raised in San Diego, we would come to Disneyland like twice a year.
Oh, perfect.
Continuously until I moved out to college. And then I wanted to work at Disneyland because everyone on campus worked there. And it just took me a couple years because you had to have a certain amount of time you could give them. And I didn't have that time available because as a freshman in college, you have to have like some mandatory projects and it would cut into availability. But eventually I got hired on. And I believe you should love the job you're doing. Excuse
I
me for
believe
just
so
one second.
too. Gesundheit.
Bless you.
Bless you.
But yeah, I was definitely a Disney fan growing up. Saw all the movies. My uncle was an artist, and Dad really appreciated animation, so we grew up on those. We grew up on the Looney Tunes. We would watch the band cartoons, and we were told like, "Don't talk about it at school." We're allowing you to watch that. Or same thing with The Simpsons. You know, every mom in town was like, "You can't watch that," and my parents were like, "You can watch it, just don't talk about it at school. Or if you have questions, ask us."
That's good.
You know,
Awesome
You had good
parents.
parents.
they were very open with that. So we would The Critic, Duckman, but I didn't really understand Duckman
nice.
at the time. I want to rewatch it again as an adult because I don't remember anything about it. I don't remember getting any of it.
It was kind of obscure for kids. I think it was a little bit more
definitely.
grown up for sure. Yeah. So when I met you in Bakersfield, and knowing, you know, like what I've seen of you here and everything, you seem like you are very much an extrovert. Have you always been this energetic and this like kind of like open to everybody and stuff like that, or have you ever been like kind of like one of those people that are in your shell and didn't come out until later?
Absolutely not. That's the Celexa talking. I considered
So she's
myself
very
like
open, folks.
a major introvert. Like if I'd go to rap parties for shows, if I didn't know anybody, I would either hover around the food table or hide in the bathroom because I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know if they would want to talk to me. And if it's like if they didn't know who I am, they would either be like, "Well, who's this weird lady?" And then if I told them who I was, then they might think, "Oh, is she bragging?" Like it just like it never felt comfortable if I didn't know somebody already there because I didn't know how to initiate. And I don't think I really still do. I just kind of fake it until I make it. Or if it's like if I'm in an environment where okay, I can feel everyone's relaxed, everyone's jovial and excited to just kind of talk in general, that makes it easier to glide in and be a second voice. It all just kind of depends, but I consider myself an introvert who is a very good actor and can make you believe she's an extrovert.
You made me believe it.
There we go. Give me money.
Enough to ask you to be in my show anyway, and I'm glad that you did. So
Yeah.
that was really great.
Truly though, like once I kind of realized I had like moderate anxiety, I didn't think I did because I was like, how do I have that? And they're like, well, you plan for everything because you're so anxious about something going wrong, but you're so on top of it and so positive about the plan, it doesn't feel like a negative thing. And I was like, okay, you got me there.
Are you
What do
very
we do about it then? And like take Alexa and you'll react more mellow or more balanced to any situation, positive or negative, because your body doesn't know the difference between stress.
Do you think you're more of a expect the best or expect the worst, hope for the best kind of a person?
Not always.
No?
You never know when something will go wrong, but I'm always cautiously optimistic, you know, like plan for possibles, but anticipate the best parts.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go exactly how you wanted it, like, you know, we'll look around. What else did you gain in this journey towards this thing?
I love that.
That is great.
And with voiceover itself, you need to love the journey as much as the end result because the job is auditioning. Booking the role and being on the project is the cherry on top, you know.
Great advice. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's that old saying of like, just because you didn't book the gig doesn't mean you didn't get the job. And what that means is, to me, just because you weren't selected as the official voice of this person and got paid for it doesn't mean you didn't get the job. It doesn't mean you didn't understand the character. If you were called back, like you could have done that show easily. That's why you were called back. They just had to decide on one person.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, you only have a 20% chance if there's 5 of you or less if there's more, but you were brought back because you could do it. So maybe not this time around, but you know, you understand that archetype, you understand what that character needed, what the company wanted, what the script was. Use that going forward for this other archetype and maybe you will book it.
And I don't envy the people that actually have to make those decisions either. So
yeah.
That's
and
a
decision
choice.
can be made for any reason.
Yeah.
I've been the top choices of like 3 out of 4 people, but the 4th one is the one who has the most impact, and they picked this person for they liked how it sounded better with everyone else. Or what if my name is the same as their ex-wife? Like it literally could be anything. But as long as you just keep going and you're positive about it and you don't dwell,
Yeah.
or if you dwell in private at Denny's with your friends. There's been some projects that I've just grieved that I didn't get. One of
At
them,
Denny's?
one that I didn't get, it took me 3 years to get over it because I loved it so much and I wanted it so bad and I didn't get it.
Oh man.
But I didn't talk about it. I only told yeah, I was bummed about that. I never really got over it, but then move along.
But do you actually get the reason why they didn't choose you for certain things? Do they actually give you that information, or do they just say, sorry,
Yep.
we decided to go with somebody else?
There's just no time to let everyone know the whys of why not. And sometimes
Right.
it's like there isn't anything to say. It was just they liked the sound of this person a little bit more. They've always wanted to work with that person. It really could be anything. Sometimes you might find out just for the heck of it. I have had times where I've ran into somebody and something will pop up that reminds both of us of a project. And if it's like a casting director, they'll say, oh, I remember that. You were so good in that. They just really wanted to work with Lulu. And oh, okay, that makes sense. They have the opportunity. Or someone's like, oh, we sent you in the top 5, but the person who booked it, unfortunately, they might have had, 30,000 Twitter followers and I only have 3,000. And I hate that that's part of it, but it's a built-in audience. So it's kind of one of those things. And so I'm certainly, it's a catch-22. If you want those thousands and thousands of followers on a social media, you want to book something huge. That's a big draw for people.
Yeah.
But you can't book something that's a big draw for people unless you're already established.
Yeah.
So
that's rough.
That makes sense.
And it's the same thing. Don't dwell on it. Don't freak out about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing the best that you can do. You'll get a good reputation in the community. And I'm someone who's if I'm not in front of somebody, I can't imagine them thinking about me or remarking on me to someone else if I'm not there to remind them. But plenty of times it's oh, we were talking about you yesterday. And why? Did something happen? What on earth could have triggered someone to think of me and then speak about me? It never occurs to me that I've made an impact like that.
Right. And I think the important thing is, too, just to keep moving forward and also learn from the past as much as you can anyway. You don't lament or dwell on it, but you just keep looking to the future. And because otherwise you're just going to be, miserable for the rest of your life worrying about what could I have done better and just racking your brain with all of the whys and whats and,
And accept positives that come your way. And that's hard for me, too.
True.
And I'm a hypocrite. I'll talk about any other voice actor about how wonderful they are or a fun moment I had. For just to share, I love this person. She can do this. She's doing this. I saw her it's so easy for me, but it's hard for me to think of anyone else doing that for me. So I'm a hypocrite in that way, 100%. So when people do praise me, I have to get over that old high school fear of they're just saying that to bully you or to make you feel better because you were actually terrible. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
If they didn't love you,
to
they
embrace.
wouldn't come see you at all.
Yeah.
So if they come up to you and say, I loved you in this, accept that it's real for them, acknowledge it, thank them back.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't be where I am without people who enjoy my work.
This is true.
What I'm kind of hearing too is
no one has to buy an autograph if they just want to talk to me. Just come talk to me.
I love that. I'm so glad that you do that. There's not a lot of people who do, and I think Andrew and I were actually even talking about that this weekend too.
Well, and for children, if the parents get autographs of Minnie for their children's wall, if they're under 5, they're not going to understand what a autograph means. Mm-hmm. They don't know a significance. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't know what money is. So I always have extra prints of the characters. I sign one for the parents because it's I'm not selling the print, I'm selling the autograph. But then the second print I give to the child so they have something for their hands.
Oh, I love
because they're going to destroy it, basically.
They want to hold the autograph picture. They're going to tear it or rip it or spill food on it.
I think I remember you doing that to a family when I was standing at your table. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was very smart. I thought that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah. She was really sad about something. And the parents, you could just see it in their eyes, the bank is empty. There's nothing left. but and the kids were probably tired and hungry, but they liked seeing Minnie's picture. They didn't understand that I was her voice. So like, well, here's some fun pictures for you guys to have.
Well, and you had no problem whipping the voice out at pretty much any time, just to kind of tell them like, hey, this is what I do. You know, this is who.
But if they're under 5, they'll just be like, why are you doing
very
that?
confused,
right?
Yeah, they won't put it together.
Where is she?
If they remember it, though. Yeah.
Right. I've got a couple more questions from the audience that we want to get to. But first, I want to greet somebody who just joined. Somebody from New Zealand just joined the chat. I feel like we've had somebody from overseas join us before, but Toonie Voices Demon just joined us and says greetings from New Zealand. So very, very happy to see you in here, and thanks for joining. I have no idea what time it is out there.
What time is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be more than, 12, 13 hours, I'd guess. Probably the morning, I would
probably Wednesday morning, for them.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I could tell you, like, England is almost always 8 or 9 hours ahead, but
what time is it?
Oh, she's looking it up for us. She's doing the research for us. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up the next question.
It is 4:17 p.m.
Oh, it's already PM out there.
Wow.
Holy cow. Thank you for looking at
Technically, and if you think about it, they're 3 hours behind us. If you think about it.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Mind blown. Let's not get too existential here with time travel, because I'm going to just probably explode again and my head's going to just implode on itself. Andrew was asking, here's a question I was asked the other day. What do you think is the biggest misconception about being a voice actor?
I think there's 2.
2 of them.
We're not rich. No, we're all trying to make rent. And then the other one is, it's not just easy. You're not just speaking. Because I know years ago, Chris Rock accepted something at an award show. And he was in Madagascar, and he said, voiceover is so easy. You just get up there and talk. And like, no, you were hired for your vocal print, for your attitude, for your comedy, for your style. That's what they wanted, which you did all that work to create that persona. That's still a lot of hard work, Chris Rock. You may be just speaking, but they hired all the work that went behind you being that way. So voiceover isn't just talking. You have to know, well, who are you talking to? How old are you? Where are you? Is there an accent or a dialect? Are you tired? Are you happy? Are you sad? Is there a pitch involved? Like, there's so much that goes into it, because you have to react appropriately. Acting is reacting. So if anyone gets up there and just starts talking and nails it, that's because they had, 20 or 30 years behind them learning how to make it look so easy, internalizing it where they could just bring it out at the top of a hat. Yeah. And there's a lot, and I feel I can do that. Someone gives me an audition, like, okay, give me 5 minutes to read through it, and then give me 20, 30 minutes to kind of record what I think it is, and then I'm done. And then in the beginning, it would take, like, there were projects I've done like an hour or 2 on, and some peers of mine have been like, oh, I worked on that all day. And like, you shouldn't. Like, we want it to get to a point where you can whip it out in 30 minutes or less and then move on, because you won't have an hour to find it if you got booked. You don't have all day to like remember how you got there. You want to make sure that everything on your demo you can whip out at the drop of a hat.
Andrew says, preach it, Kaitlyn. Preach it. I think he liked your anscer. And let's see, I thought we had one other question
from Malik.
Yeah. What has it been like to work with Curtis Kohler as a voice director on the Mickey Mouse shorts?
I love Curtis. He is funny.
Yeah.
I worked with him like that very first month in 2019. We were doing the Wonderful World of Mickey shorts, and my first cartoon, I had to do Southern drawl in Minnie's voice, or a Texan drawl, and those first few episodes, like, I was still getting my feet under me, and then as they went along, they got stronger. But then when they dropped the episodes, they were out of order of how we had recorded them. So like the supermarket one was like one of the very last of that first half, but it was one of the very first ones. So like, it starts off a little rocky, and then I'm like, oh, I loved doing this one. And then we get to this one. I'm like, oh no, can I redo that? That one was like one of the first ones. I didn't regress. I was still like finding her spot to be in this style, in this genre.
Can you imagine?
That's interesting. Have you ever had
Yeah.
to do any other accents for Minnie?
Not officially. I had one young lady who was an influencer in Japan. She reached out and said, like, my two friends are getting married. They adore Disney and Mickey and Minnie. Could Minnie like wish them a happy marriage? And I was like, why not?
Oh,
There's no reason to. So I said, hello, it's Minnie. I wishing you happiness and love. How romantic a wedding. And then I asked her, is there a traditional Japanese saying that you say at a wedding? And I don't think there is one, as opposed to like, we wish you happiness and love. So after I said it in English, I did my best Japanese dialect and said it in Japanese for her.
Wow.
And she filmed her friend's reaction. So when I first came on and started talking with the picture of Minnie up there, since it was just audio, you could see her face going like, who is this? Why is she at my wedding? Like, you could just see it in her face. And then when I said their names and started speaking in Japanese, they both went like, huh? What? Like they both blew their minds.
Yeah.
And then they sent me a thank you gift from Tokyo Disneyland. It was so sweet.
Oh, have you ever been there before?
No, I want to go so bad.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, one day.
I've heard amazing things. I was we were talking to James Mulligan, the artist, recently. He was actually, you know James, right? So and he was talking about how amazing it is out there, and especially even in like Paris, where they have like the Beauty and the Beast ride. I think it was Paris, right? Tokyo, it is Tokyo as well, yeah. So, and he says that every time I go on that ride, I have to bring tissues because he says he cries sorry, James, he's going to be on the show at some point too. If we're giving something away right now, but I mean, he says it just moves him that much, and the animatronics are so realistic to him. It's like being in a real cartoon. Yeah.
I know.
So I just thought that was amazing.
I wonder if they do the transformation of him becoming the prince or something.
They do, but I don't know how
they
they
do.
do it.
Yes, and I think that's the scene that he probably weeps at, because
I
it's
can
just
imagine.
I've seen videos, but I'm sure it doesn't do it justice because it just
you want to be there in person.
Yeah. I don't know what they did or how they do it. It's just like the Hatbox Ghost. I don't know how they make that effect, but I mean that blows my mind every time too.
Well, same with Phantom Manor out in Paris. I've wanted to go on that for years, and I finally got to, and I wrote it like 3 times. It was just so good in person. And they like their rides rough out in Paris. Everything hurt. Their Indiana Jones hurt. Their Space Mountain hurt. It's not Rock and Roller Coaster Aerosmith. It's an Avenger theme now, but that hurt. Like everything was hurting me. So I was like, can we go to Fantasyland?
Indy at Disneyland hurts lately too. My wife won't even go on it anymore because she's like, every time I go, I feel like I'm going to snap my neck. I just going to walk off the ride like this. So yeah,
it's so gentle, like
gentle.
the waves of the beach.
Yeah, just about as gentle as going on the Matterhorn. I mean, they feel like they should hand out Tylenol at the end of every ride.
And like it's not up to here on you like the old cars are. It's down here, so it's like I'm even more able to fly out of this thing.
Well, not just fly out, but it takes a lot to get out of it nowadays, too. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and I have to, like, hold on to a lot of different things to just get my butt out of that seat.
Yeah, I just hold everyone's stuff and wait at the exit.
There you go. Andrew says Tokyo Disneyland is amazing, but Tokyo Disney Sea is utterly phenomenal. Yeah, everybody touts that as the most advanced park that Disney has.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
They have all that money to make it exactly the way they want it to be.
Yeah.
There's no overhead over there like there is out here.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And being so close to Anaheim now, I know you said that when you were younger, you were growing up, you got to go to Disneyland twice a year. How often do you go now? I know you do.
I'll go when like friends are in town or mom and dad want to come, because it's easy. And they had Magic Keys, but like the calendar was never accurate for them, so I just said, just don't get your Magic Key, and I can help call someone to help us. And it's still fun, but it's like I still feel like that old cast member, where like,
oh really?
If we're walking through, like, oh, that kid's climbing on that trash can, I'm gonna get him off. Like, no, you're not. You're just some lady. You're gonna be a Karen if you open your mouth. So just let them learn the hard way.
Kaitlyn, just say it in a Minnie Mouse voice. Excuse me.
The trash can, please.
Toonie Voices Demon is paying a very, very nice compliment here. It says, Kaitlyn, Mickey, and the gang always brings joy whenever I watch them on TV, and I always enjoy hearing you and the rest of the cast continuing to bring joy within these iconic characters.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, because I mean, I think that for pretty much everybody who does voices for Disney, and anything that just any actor that brings characters to life on screen, whether it's a live action role or even a voice acting role as a cartoon character, 3D animated character, whatever. I always know the way it makes me feel, and at least myself, I always appreciate those who do it behind the scenes. And I know it's a lot of work, and
You bring
it's
joy
not
to
just
people's lives.
yeah, and
We
it's not
appreciate
just
all of
very
you.
lucky that when the audition came around, I had 15 years of practice under my belt. Like, I kept it to myself. I didn't want to have like a reputation of, oh, she's gunning for the role, and like that it doesn't matter. Excuse me. If
Right.
it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And I, for any actor, it's always a thrill when you get the yes, you booked it.
Right.
And of all
Yeah.
things, this was the one I was the most anxious about, because it's one and done. This is it.
Yeah.
Until I'm like gone from this earth or in jail. And I don't plan to ever die.
But you're
Right.
immortalized now.
That's true.
Yeah. I tell people I'm going to live forever. I mean, of course not physically, but my voice is going to be out there forever.
Mhm.
And I love that about this type of industries, because it's never going to die. That media will always be out there in one form or another, and it'll
Yeah.
just it'll be
There's
there
someone
for
out
generations
there
to
who will
enjoy.
take over after me. They may be born already,
course.
they may not, but wherever they are,
Right.
just practice and love her as much as we've all loved her.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
We've got one other comment here, and then I'm going to have to start getting close to wrapping up here. But Malik says, "Thank you, Kaitlyn. I do hope you appreciated my questions, and
I
do
did.
hope to get to meet you someday."
That would be lovely.
So, with that in mind, is there any upcoming appearances? Because I met you at a MouseCon, and I don't know. Do you have any other shows that you're going to be appearing at soon that you want to promote?
Well, I've got a Coastal Comic Con. Let's see, it's Tuesday, right? Coastal Comic Con is next week, not this coming weekend, but next weekend out in North Carolina.
Oh.
Pasadena Con, which had gotten postponed due to the fires, so that'll pick up in May.
Okay.
I feel like there's something else in between.
WonderCon,
there.
maybe? You gonna be at WonderCon at all?
WonderCon, I'm just going as an attendee myself.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, just going for fun.
Love it.
It's
Anybody
right down the
special?
street, so
I know. Anybody special there that you're hoping to see?
I don't know yet. Like, the schedule hasn't dropped, but
okay.
We're always excited to see the Cartoon Voices panel that Mark Evanier puts on. And it's usually one on Saturday, but sometimes he's done one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And he knows I live out here, and he knows that I go to San Diego every year for fun. So I always tell him I'll be a backup if somebody doesn't make it, and just to go up on the stage and have some fun. Me and Fred Tatasciore were usually the backups.
Patricia says, got to see you in Knoxville at Fanboy Expo. We'll say hi again if you make it back here.
Oh, Knoxville was fun. And I know like a lot of Comic-Cons and expos, they'll rotate throughout the year. So I would hope to come back to Knoxville like maybe next year or the year after. Just that way, so that way you have a little time in between. But there's a lot of East Coast stuff this year.
What about our friend in New Zealand? Do you think they'll ever get a chance to meet you?
That would be amazing.
New Zealand is gorgeous. Yeah.
You ever been to New Zealand before?
No, just what I've seen in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. I think for all of us nerds, that's kind of, what first comes to mind when you think of New Zealand. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Really put it on the map in terms of pop culture.
Definitely. So is there anything else that you wanted to promote about yourself, or anything, any upcoming projects you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up here?
Gosh, what's coming? Well, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is coming soon.
Right.
There's a new season of Minnie's Bow Tunes arriving.
Ooh, that's cute.
I'm going to double check that it's been announced.
Tunes.
I love that.
Is that a brand new show?
Minnie's Bow Tunes has been around for some time.
Oh, okay.
They just it's been updated over the years. It started out where she owned a boutique. The first 5 seasons, she owned a boutique, and they sold
that.
What do they sell though?
And then when they kind of rebooted it a few years later, we did like the Party Palace where they helped run party shows, and then a camp where they had a summer camp. And then there's a new venture happening right now, but I don't think it's been announced, so I can't say it. But I'm trying to like double check just to be like, did we announce it? Because if we have, I can say it.
Well, while you're looking it up, Toonie Voices Demon says Armageddon Expo is New Zealand's convention. So keep that on your radar. Maybe you can get yourself on it at some point.
Yeah. Oh, I think it does say what it can be.
Yeah? Are you allowed to say it?
Okay. According to this, because it's on Google, Minnie's Bow Tunes Pet Hotel is the 9th season of the Disney animated series Minnie's Bow Tunes. It will debut in the summer.
Pet Hotel. That sounds like fun.
That sounds fantastic.
That's so cool. Well, Kaitlyn,
yeah, we talked about this.
It's been a pleasure to have you on today. Just about as fun as it was meeting you for the first time. I just want to thank you again for taking your time out of your day today, even braving traffic to make it on the show. Even if it was a little bit late, we still stayed on through the full hour.
We did. We got it.
And God bless you for helping us out with that. I really do appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. And thanks to everyone in the chat.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for joining. And if you wanted to catch any of the prior episodes or even want to watch this one, if you came in late or if you just are listening to it and you want to see any of the visuals or anything like that, you want to see what Kaitlyn looks like, go to our YouTube channel or look at our Facebook page for the video. It'll be posted up there live for everybody to watch. And, of course, all the usual channels on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and also Podcast Network. So I want to thank my hosts, or my co-hosts, Thomas and Leia, again, as usual. Thanks for joining again today, guys. Really appreciate all the feedback. And we will see you guys all again next Tuesday, where we'll bring some more magic back into the world. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night.